Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Lojak. He's Mike Brenner. We are the odds couple. We come to you from sportsbookreview.com. It's week 6 in the NFL, and this is the Doug Upstone Show, false faves and top dogs. Now, last week I said that, Doug's not going to win every pick, so don't go all in on every recommendation he makes. Last week, though, he did win all 3 of his picks.
I think we ought to have fireman suits on today. I'm not kidding you. This guy is on fire.
Yeah, so that brings him to 13-2 against the spread in this show, but again, Taylor's picks, that's great, but he's not going to win every one, so don't go all in on everything he says. But unbelievable, 13-2 so far this year, right, Doug Upstone?
That is correct. Now, I have a question for Mike. Now, Mike, I don't know if you have a camera you can see here, but I just was wondering, do I just need to pack one suitcase, or do I need a bigger one for my trip to Costa Rica?
Yeah, that's right.
Buddy, bring two. Bring two because you might want to take back with you something real special, and there's a bunch of them running around in this country.
What was that one, the Oakland-San Diego game?
Oakland-San Diego.
That's right. To everyone who didn't catch last week's show, Doug Upstone gave San Diego plus the points as a pick, and then Mike Brenner said, what did you say?
I said that if it wins, I will fly you down to Costa Rica,
right.
And I'm a man of my word.
Because Mike Brenner liked Oakland in that one, and I certainly can see why. I didn't have the balls to take San Diego, and we saw why, right?
Yeah,
They're a team that gives it away, but getting more than a field goal, that was the key.
That was the key. And again, this team is just really scratching their head. But my hat's off, and trust me, hey, when I lose one like that, I am the first one to say time to pay up, and I can't wait because I can't wait for Doug to be in the studio.
All right. Well, it's week 6 NFL. Let's start our blathering and banter. Let's stop our banter here, and let's get to his picks, right? NFL Week 6, Doug Upstone. We're all waiting for it. What's your first false favorite or top dog for NFL Week 6?
We're going to go with a top dog, and it's going to be on the Cincinnati Bengals to have some bite in Bradytown. Now, Mike, wow. I know you were on New England in one of your videos, and I was on New England also in an article that I wrote for SPR Picks. And Tom Brady looked absolutely fantastic last week, really, really on top of his game right from the opening whistle. At the same time, Cincinnati was going down 28-0 right away early in the second half against Dallas. Now, while this seems like an impossible situation looking at these two teams, the thing that I see here is that Cincinnati has not looked good this year, not the usual aggressiveness, but there's nothing like still a quality team facing a top-grade opponent to kind of wake them up and to get them going. Now, while I completely understand Tom Brady, and people are saying now he can play till he's 50 and all this other stuff, he's still 39 years old, and as far as I have ever heard, Father Time is undefeated. So I think Brady takes a little bit of a step back after all the emotion of last week. I think Cincinnati comes to play, and I will take the +9 and be on the hunt and look to be able to take +10 or better with Cincinnati as a top underdog.
All right, interesting. Well, last week, of course, Mike Brenner, Pats were one of your big plays, and Al McMorty said he liked the Browns.
Yeah.
And we were told by Brent from BetDSI that the Browns did take sharp action. Turns out that Doug Upstone was on the Pats with you last week. That's a great sign, and of course, we saw what happened. This week, you're liking the Pats again, but this week, Doug Upstone is on the opposite side. How does that make you feel, Mike Brenner?
Well, I took him on the half, if I'm correct.
Well, in our shows, you gave him half and full game.
And the full game, but what was the line?
Well, last week it was 10.5.
No, you're talking about last week. I had them both and they cashed.
And this week you're on them again, Mike Brenner.
I know. But the Bengals, Doug might be onto something here because I'm still fuming because they burnt me in the pocket this week. But I'm not really sure. And normally I think Doug's breakdown is perfectly correct because I do agree that Brady let out a lot of steam and he may take a step back. Not back, but he may just take the foot off the pedal off the metal a bit. But I'm telling you, I think this Cincinnati Bengals team has more problems than it realizes. And it's that defense can be picked apart. And Andy Dalton has no confidence. I don't see that guy on the sideline pumping the team up. They do have a decent running game, but they break away from the plan. I think it's going to be Marv Lewis's last year there because bottom line, he has not made this work. But 9 is a lot, but I don't know. I think
tough to go against Brady and those two tight ends.
It's tough to go against Doug Upstone.
Yeah,
what do you mean,
tough
Brady?
To go against Doug Upstone, absolutely. I am thankfully on neither side here. I'm on the over, 46.5.
And I did want to throw this out there because the secret weapon, I think for sure, is going to be the deep field pass game for the Patriots because they undoubtedly have two of the best tight ends in the game, and one of them's figuring out, hey, this guy on the other side is not too bad either. So I think that's going to open up some deep routes, and that Bengals defense looks confused. Dallas did anything they wanted against that team, and I don't think Marv Lewis, I think finally this year he's going to get some pressure. So I'm dying to hear what Doug has to say, though, as far as what we just broke down.
Yeah, Doug, what do you think? Tough to go against Brady and those powerful tight ends, right?
Yeah, again, there's any refute of any argument. You guys, I'm not, Mike. I think you're right on it. In that regard. I just think, in my opinion, I think Cincinnati has not played that well, and I think the chance to play against an opponent that they know that can quite literally beat them badly, okay, if they don't show up, I think that's enough motivation for Cincinnati to show up and play a better game. And and this could very likely end up being a backdoor cover as well.
Yeah, that's the point. 9 points is a lot. All right, Doug Upstone, what's your second false favorite or top dog for NFL Week 6?
My second one is a false favorite, and it's on Tennessee. Now, this week, Cleveland's going to get back Cody Kessler at their quarterback, and there's talk that Josh McCown, at the very least, will be available for a backup. But football bettors have been undeterred, and they took Tennessee from -6 to -7.5. Now, to be perfectly honest, right now, I'm having a hard time thinking Tennessee could cover 7.5 against the Volunteers, let alone a professional football team. Now, the Browns were beat up last week by the combination of Belichick and Brady. But this week, they're going up against Malarkey and Mariota. And you're not going to very often hear those four names used in the same sentence unless they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. When I look at this game at over a touchdown, I cannot ignore the fact the Titans are 2-12 against the spread in their last dozen. I think they're a false favorite, and I'm going to be on Cleveland.
Yeah, not sure Titans offense isn't sync enough to warrant a spread of this high of a line against anyone. What do you think? I'm kind of liking it.
Yeah, I know, because one big game, against Miami, and that's not saying a whole lot, but I love Doug's breakdown and saying I don't even think they could beat the Volunteers right now.
Well, it is a split line, 7 or 7.5 market wide, and I have SBRodds.com right up in front of me here to figure out which books have 7 or 7.5. Doug Upstone recommending a play on the Browns plus 7.5. That might be tailable, Mike Brenner. All right, what's your third top dog or false favorite for NFL Week 6, Doug?
Going back to the top dog, and I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams this week.
Ooh.
Now, some of you are probably wondering why last week I was on the Rams, off the Rams and on Detroit, and now I flip-flop. And to tell you very simply, the reason is that I thought the teams in their specific situations were in either negative or positive situations. Now, going ahead to this week, we got the Lions as a favorite at -3. And long-term, the Lions are 56-82 as favorites. Now, when I look at Los Angeles, I see a team that is last in total offense, last in scoring, and their defensive line is in tatters with injuries. But yet, why are the Rams only a field goal underdog in this situation? I looked a little further, and teams that are -3 to +3 that are scoring less than 17 points a game are 40-14 against the spread in their next outing. I like the Rams to get the job done in Detroit this week.
Mike Brenner, you had both the Rams and the Lions last week. Now they're playing each other. What do you think?
Did I have the Rams last week?
You did.
I didn't have the Rams last week. I definitely didn't have the Rams.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
But I did have Detroit.
The Bills. I'm sorry, you had the Bills.
Had the Bills.
Totally.
I did have the Bills last week.
You bet against the Rams. You bet against the Rams last week.
Exactly.
And you had
and I felt good with that last week.
So what do you think about
You know what, though? I mean, again, and I'm not just saying this. When Doug speaks, I listen because results, are everything. I really think, though, that Detroit picked up some momentum in that game because they are a better team than what the record shows. The Rams, again, Fisher.
Where's the offense going to come from, right?
I know, exactly. This is one for me. I got to stay the hell off it. It's a 10-foot pole, but I'm certainly going to look deeper into it because Doug's on it. So that's for damn sure.
Doug Upstone, +3, +111 is one of the current lines here for the Rams at Pinnacle. Those are his 3 picks. What do you think? I think he's got at least 2-1 this week.
I'm looking at a 2-1. Yeah, I really do. I think he's on to something, and I can't wait to get him down here. So we're going to work out some travel plans because probably after football, if that works better, or before, whatever you want, Doug. I am grateful you're coming down.
You know what? The 2 things is that you're right. Football, it's impossible to even consider anything. So so that's everything. And to Peter's point that he made earlier, I mean, I'm in 100% agreement. And in fact, I wrote it on the article about this. Is that yes, I've gotten off to a very good start, but let's face it, there's going to be regression. And so the idea more is to think of what I look at. What can I do over the next month on picks? And so if I can have a positive result over the next month on all picks, be it these videos or anything else, I think that's always the way to go. It's the smarter way to go. And because, again, the laws of averages, they're going to catch up to you.
There you
Yeah,
go.
but Doug, you know what? There's a friend of mine that follows you, and he's been following you for years before I even met him. And he said Doug Upstone's like a fine wine. He just gets better with time. I swear to God, that's what he told me.
Sounds great. Doug Upstone, you're like a fine wine. You're old and awesome. Old and totally awesome. Doug Upstone, thanks so much for being with us, and we'll be back with you next week for NFL Week 7.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Peter and Mike.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SPR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.